Welcome back. 40 plus years. That's how long it took to solve two separate cases in Chatham County after the unidentified remains of two murder victims were discovered in the 1970s. In episode 17 of our podcast, What Remains, which is out today, we'll tell you how they did it. Here's one of the directors from the lab in Texas that created the DNA profile.
And so when you're able to see it come full circle and even though it's not the best news for family, but they have a big piece of a question answered, and they can have their loved one back. They can give them a proper resting place and things like that. So it's very rewarding. It's why we get up in the morning and do what we do.
From WRAL Studios, this is What Remains, where we'll dig into the stories of connecting unidentified human remains to the missing and the murdered.
And joining us in studio right now is the host of What Remains, Amanda Lamb. Amanda, one of these cases dates back to 1976.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Wow.
Jimmy Max Brooks, of course they didn't know his name at the time, was found in the Cape Fear River. He had been decapitated and his hands had been cut off. And this was in an effort not to identify him, and that worked for 46 years.
And so what was it that pushed this case forward?
So we've talked about this lab before, Michelle. It's called Othram. They're located in Texas, and they can take degraded DNA and they're able to test it with a great deal of accuracy. And so in this specific case, they were able to make a profile and then give that profile to another person we've talked about before, a forensic genealogist, Leslie Kaufman in Raleigh, and she was able to take that information and solve this case.
Oh my gosh. And I imagine that when a case this old is solved, it gives other families that might still be waiting some sort of hope.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about all of these cold cases that we've been working on. It's really bittersweet. You know, people don't have answers and they really need those answers. And even though when they get the answers, it's difficult. This is Leslie Kaufman here. She says it's so important for them. And so, yeah, these cases getting solved this year after so many years really helped make people feel like, oh, it's possible.
It's incredible. Where do you see this going? Do you think that it's just going to keep kind of progressing and going forward?
Absolutely. I mean, the DNA technology is getting better and better every single day. And that's what we're learning, that these cold cases that haven't been solved for so long are able to now be solved. The other case that we feature in this episode involves a 43-year-old case. And Leslie Kaufman also worked on that case. And she was able to find a niece making this family tree. We keep talking about the family trees that are made in genealogy. And she called the niece, and the niece said, wow, I hope it's my uncle. We've been looking for him for 43 years. And we were able to interview that niece for this podcast. Also his sister, Alexander Brown was his name. This is Alexander Brown. And just so powerful, those interviews of those families who just, they didn't know. They didn't know if their loved one was dead or alive. Sure. And, you know, now they have those answers and they can have a service. And that's a big part of it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. I have chills right now just thinking about that. That's incredible. Amanda Lamb, thank you so much for joining us. Episodes 1 through 17 of our podcast are available today. Please give us a review online on your podcast platform if you like the show. And for more material surrounding the episodes, you can go to whatremainspodcast.com.